Yes, hi there. Welcome to the next training session based on cross applications. So here in this session we are going to discuss about what about the next mode of another mode of RFC, that is what transactional RFC. We also call it as what tRFC. Okay. So in our last sessions we have already discussed about this synchronous RFC and asynchronous RFC, right? And there we have discussed that in case of this synchronous and asynchronous RFC, while calling the remote function module from our RFC client machine, it is mandatory that both of the systems should be available. We can say this remote server system should be available there, right? If in case this remote server is not available at that point of time, it will give us one runtime error while communication, during the communication, right? But here in case of this transactional RFC, it is not mandatory that this remote server is available at the time of communication. Okay, so it is not mandatory. If it is available, then process it will be it this tRFC will be processed immediately, and if it is not available at the time of communication, at that point of time, it will process it later point of time. Okay, so in detail we will discuss in coming minutes, in we can say in next couple of minutes. Okay, so let's discuss some important points related to this transactional RFC. Okay, right. So yes, so here we can say transactional RFC, tRFC. It is a communication method that executes the called function module, called a remote function module, just once in the RFC server, just one in the RFC server. Okay, right. Next is what the remote system need not be available at the time when the RFC client program is executing a tRFC. Okay, so it is not mandatory that this remote server is available at the time of calling our RFC client program. Okay, right. Next is what if the call is sent, but the receiving system is down. Our remote server here, receiving system is what remote server is down. The call will remain in the local queue. The call will remain in the local queue for a period of time. Okay, right. If the receiving system is still unavailable after a period of time, then the call will be scheduled to run as a background job. Okay, right. In detail we will discuss in next couple of minutes, right? Implementation of tRFC is recommended if we are not sure that the remote system is available or not. Okay, so in case of earlier two mode of RFC, synchronous and asynchronous, it was mandatory that both of the systems should be available, our remote server system as well as our we can say calling system, this RFC client system. But here in case of the tRFC, it is we can say the implementation of tRFC is recommended when we are not sure that the remote server is available or not. Okay, right. Next is what one note is there. It is recommended that there should not be any export parameter. In the definition of tRFC, because if there is an import parameter in the calling program, and the remote server is not available, it will cause a syntax error there. Okay, right. This note we can consider it, we can understand it as something like this: the remote function module, which we are going to call as part of this, or we can say in this tRFC process, that remote function module should not have any export parameter. Okay, and export will become import while calling the function. That's why here it is mentioning it as what import parameter. Okay, right. So this is we can say important point related to our tRFC here. And the syntax for what for this tRFC, the syntax for this tRFC which we have to follow, that is what call function module name, remote function module name, in background task. Okay, so this is the addition which we have to use, which we have to we can say use in case of this transactional RFC. Okay, right. In case of in case of asynchronous, what was the syntax? It was just a call function, remote function name, destination RFC destination. It was very simple. Okay, synchronous RFC, this was the syntax, right? And in case of asynchronous, asynchronous, what was the syntax? Call function, remote function module name, destination name. And here we have to what we have to say starting new task name, and performing subroutine name on end of the task, right? And then what we have to do, we need to define our subroutine for receiving the results from our remote function module. Okay, so this was the syntax for our asynchronous RFC. Okay, here in case of this transactional RFC, what is the syntax we have to use? We have to use one addition, that is what in background task. Okay, so by seeing, we can say by with the syntax only, we can confirm that this process, or we can say this remote function module is called with what with which we can say which RFC. Okay, so let's get into the system, and let's understand this transactional RFC with a simple example there. Okay, right. So what we will do, let's understand this one also. Yes, so what we will do, we similarly in our RFC server, we will create one function module. Okay, right. And as part of our RFC client server, we will try to call that. Okay. Right. Let's log into our remote server here. Okay, so now what we have to do, let's go to what SC37 directly. Okay, let's give some name, any name we can give. Let's say what gr underscore fm3. Okay, right. So this is the function module which will be flagged as what remote function module. Okay, right. Function group. Okay, so now let's do one thing. Let's use the same function group. Okay, what was the name here? gr underscore fg1. Okay, right. And here let's say what function module used in tRFC. Okay, right. Save it, say continue. Right. So first of all, what we have to do, we need to declare it as what remote enabled function module, right? And what was the note there? What was the, we can say, prerequisite in case of this tRFC? That there should not be any export parameter, to our this remote function module. Okay, right. So we will declare what? We will declare only the import parameter. So what is the purpose of this function module? We need to analyze the requirement now. First, what is the, we can say, what this function module will do. Okay. What we will do, this function module, we have one database table now. So what we will do, what was the database table? Rohit underscore tb1 now, right? Yes. Let's say display. There are how many records? Total 5 records are there. Okay, as part of this table, g rohit underscore tb1, this table is having total 5 records here, 5 records. Okay, so this function module, what it has to do, it has to insert the data into our this database table g rohit underscore tb1. Okay, so how we can insert the data? Let's do one thing. Let's declare one input parameter, and we will give type as what? The same database table. Okay, so that input parameter will be considered as what? Work area. Okay, and using that work area, we will insert the data. Okay, right. So let's give some name here, any name we can give, ip underscore something. Let's say it as what? Work area only. Okay, right. Ip underscore work area type, and here we will refer what? We will refer the same database table. Okay, so that the structure of the the structure of our database table, and this import parameter, or we can say work area, should be same here. Okay, right. And this is what this attribute is marked as a remote enabled function module na. So the parameter will be passed by value only. Okay, if we will press enter here, it will give us one error here. Yes, reference parameter are not allowed with RFC. So what we have to do, we need to check this. We need to check this checkbox here. Okay, pass values, right? And here what we are doing, we are making it as what mandatory importing parameter. Okay, right. No export parameter changing also. What It is also behave as a import as well as export, same table also. Exceptions, we will not raise any exceptions here. Okay, right. Now in the source code, right? So what we have to do here, we have to write the logic, right? So from our work area we need to insert the data into our into our database table, right? So what we will say, insert, what is the table name, 0 with underscore tb1 from what, from work area, wa underscore what was it, not wa na, ip underscore work area, that's all. Okay, right. So this function module, it has to what, it has to insert the data, into this database table using what, using this import parameter. Okay, and this import parameter is referring to the same structure, same database table structure. Okay, so we are considering it as what, work area. Okay, so what we have to do as part of our calling program, RFC client program, what we have to do, we need to pass a work area there. We need to pass a work area of type same, same structure, we can say. Okay, right. Save it. uh, Check for error. Yes, no error. Let's activate it. Yes, activated. Good. Now we have what, SAP has provided one provision now, that we can test our function module here only, right? So let's say execute here. Yes, we need to what, we need to prepare one work area na, the work area, right? So let's click on it. Yes, so here what we have to do, we need to give the values for these three columns, these three fields. Okay, so what value we should give here, let's say what, employee name, let's say something, Siva what, Siva Harshan. The designation, let's make it as what, developer here. Okay, right. hmm. Let's go back and say execute. Okay, so these are the records which we have inserted here, which we are trying to insert here, that is 1029, Shiva Harshan and developer. Okay, so far there is no record with this with these details. Okay, there are 5 records here. Okay, let's refresh it where it is. Yes, so here we can say there are only 5 records, 1029 is not there, Shiva Harshan is not there. Okay, right. Let's execute it. Yes, it might be inserted. Go back to our table. Let's refresh it once again. Yes, here we can say it is successfully inserted. Okay, so it means our function module, remote enabled function module, it is working fine. It is working fine, right? And what is the name of our remote enabled function module? That is gr underscore fm3, right? Now what we have to do, we need to call it from our RFC client machine, RFC client server, we can say. Okay, right. So for that, what we will do, let's log in here. Okay, double click on it. Yes, give the credentials. Yes, so first of all, what we have to do, we need to go to the SC38. Okay, and here we have to create one RFC client program, okay. So let's give some name here. What, gr underscore, one second please, gr underscore what, cross 4, let's say cross 4. Okay, right. Say create, already exist for. Okay, let's say 5, create. Yes, give some title, let's say what, RFC client program for what, for tRFC, okay, right. Type is what, executable program. Save it as what, local object. Yes, okay, right. So now what we have to do, we need to call our function module na. So what is the signature of our function module? It is having only what, it is having only one input parameter, and it is of type what, this structure, this database table structure. Okay, right. So what we have to do, while calling we need to pass a structure na, we need to pass a work area of same structure na. And that we can say that work area should have what, should have some values we have to insert in that field na, in that table na. So first of all, what we will do, we will read the values from our what, from the user in the runtime. Okay, so here we will say parameters, some name, any name we can give here. Let's say p underscore something. One second please. Yes, let's say p underscore number, type what, type integer. Okay. Yes, let's say next one, p underscore name, let's say it as what, length of 20, type what, type character, right? And the next is what, p underscore designation of type, let's say 25, type character. Okay, right. So these are the three, we can say three fields will be generated on our selection screen, right? Where we will read the data from what, from the user. Okay, right. So now what we have to do, we need to declare one work area that, with what, with the same structure, right? So as we know, a work area can be declared on a type structure na, on a type structure. So before declaring the work area, we need to create our type structure here. Okay, so here we will say begin of begin of some name. Let's say it as what, something, ty underscore emp, right? And what we have to do, we need to declare three fields na, three fields as part of this type structure, right? And these fields should have the same what, these fields should have the same technical properties. Okay, field name can be different here, but the technical properties should be same here. Okay, employee number, type integer, employee name, type character, length of 20, employee designation, character 25. Okay, 10, 20, 25, integer, character. Okay, right. So here we will say, let's give some other name here. Okay, field name need not to be the same. Okay, but the technical properties should be same here. Okay, so here we will say number, type what, type integer. Next is what, name of 20, type what, type character. Next is what, designation na. So here we will say designation of length 25, type what, type character here. Okay, right. Now here we will say end of what is the name we have provided, emp, right? Now based on this type structure, what we have to do, we need to declare our work area, right? So here let's say, what name we should give here, w underscore emp, type what, ty underscore, what is the type structure, emp, ty underscore emp. Okay, right. So like this, we have what, we have declared one type structure. Based on that type structure, we have declared one what, this work area, right? And here we have declared these three variables. We can say we have generated one selection screen we using this parameters keyword, and there on that selection screen, we have created these three fields, number, name, and designation, p underscore number, p underscore name, and p underscore designation. Okay, now what we have to do, we need to assign the values from these variables, which we will read from the in the runtime from the user. The values of this variable we need to assign to the field of this work area. Okay, so here we will say what, first let's clear it, wa underscore emp, clear wa underscore emp, wa underscore emp hyphen, what is the first field, number is equal to p underscore number. Next is what, wa underscore emp hyphen name is equal to p underscore name, wa underscore emp hyphen, next is what, designation is equal to what, p underscore designation na, p underscore designation, that's all. Okay, right. So now what we have to do, this work area is having the field values na, this work area is having the fields value, right, which are what which we are reading in the runtime in this variable, in this variable, right. Now what we have to do, we need to call that remote enabled function module, and we have to pass this work area, we have to pass this work area as input parameter. Okay, right. So here we will say what, call function, what was the function name we have provided there, gr underscore fm3 na, gr underscore fm3. Okay, let's verify it, gr underscore fm3, right. Okay, right. So now call function gr underscore fm3, and what we have to do, what is the syntax we have discussed there, this is the syntax now which we have to use, in background task, in background task. Okay, so in case of this tRFC we need to use this syntax, in background task. Okay, so here we will say what, in background task, in background task, and here we have to specify what, we have to specify the RFC destination, RFC destination, right. So here we will say destination, what was the name of destination which we have created in our first session, uh, what was it, gr underscore rfc na, gr underscore rfc1, I think. hmm, 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 hmm. I think this was the yes, it was only gr underscore rfc1, gr underscore rfc1. Okay. Let's do one thing, we have what, we have one mm, go to what, sc11, 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 and what was it, rfc des na, rfc des. Okay, say display, go to the contents, and here gr underscore rfc1, yes, this was right, gr underscore rfc1. Okay, right. Yes, so this is the rfc destination, rfc destination. Okay, now this function module, remote enabled function module, it is having what, it is having one mandatory importing parameter na, so importing will become what, exporting, sorry, here exporting. Okay, so what, importing will become exporting here, right. And what was the name, what was the input parameter name, ip underscore work area, right. So here we will say ip underscore work area is equal to wa underscore emp, that's all. Okay. Okay, so what we are doing here, let's summarize here. First of all, what we have done here, we have created one remote function module in our this ECC EHP7, which is considered as what, a remote server. Okay, and this function module has to insert the data, into which internal table, into which database table, that is g rohit underscore tb1, okay. And so far our table g rohit underscore tb1, it is having what, it is having only what, 6 records na? Yes, it is having only 6 records here. Okay, right. So now what we are doing in our this remote rfc client system, what we are doing, we are creating one this rfc client program here, rfc client program. And as part of this rfc client program, what we are doing, we are calling that remote function module. And here we have prepared one work area, right. And as part of this work area, what we are doing, we are assigning the values from this variable to this work area. Okay, like this we prepared this work area, and we are passing this work area, as an input parameter to this function module, remote enabled function module, right. And this is what, this process, process is what, this process is our rfc process, trfc process. Okay, and for this trfc, what we are doing, we are using one addition, that is in background task, okay, right. Now let's save it, check for the error. Okay, yes, there is no error. Let's activate it, activated. Yes. Okay, now we will execute it. Okay, so far our table is having only 6 records, okay, so keep in mind, let's execute it. Yes, give the values. First is what, employee number, let's say employee number something, let's say 1034. 34 is not there. Okay, 34 is not there. Okay, right. So 1034. Next is what? Name, employee name na. So let's give some name here. Let's say Madhu Kumar. Okay. Designation, let's say it as what? Manager. Okay, so these are the records which we are trying to insert here, which we are trying to pass here. And we can say these values will be assigned to work area, and that work area we are passing it as input parameter to our remote enabled function module, right? And that remote enabled function module has to insert these records into our database table g rohit underscore tb1. Okay, right, let's execute it. Yes, it might be executed. Okay, let's cross verify in our in our table here. Or what we can do, let's go back here only. What we will do, let's say, what, right? Okay, just for the confirmation that it is executed or not, what we are doing, we are giving what we are printing these two statements here. Okay, right, save it once again, execute it. Yes, no error, activate this, let's execute now. Okay, so earlier we have given some values. Now let's say 1035 name, let's say something what, uh, Swati Sahai, and let's make it as what, developer here. Okay, right, let's execute it. Yes, so here we can say it is successfully executed. Okay, so it is printing the same two statement. Okay, right, now let's cross verify here in our table g rohit underscore tb1. Okay, so two records must be inserted in a two records should be inserted in a as part of the execution of our remote function module, right? Let's refresh it. Right now there are 6 records here. Okay, refresh. Yes, so here we can say no data is inserted here. No data is inserted here. Okay, so what does it mean? It means our remote function module, it is not executed. It means our remote function module, it is not executed. Okay, data is not inserted. So now let's understand why our this we can say what our remote enabled function module is not executed. Our enabled function is not executed after calling this function from this RFC client program, right? So what we will do, let's go back to our this PPT here. Yes, so here we will see what it is saying here. The transactional call registers the name of the called remote function module. Okay, what it is doing when we call our remote enabled function, what it do, it registered the name of the remote function module together with RFC destination name and the actual parameters passed in what parameter list for what, for the current LUW logical unit of work in what, in these two database tables. Okay, so what it is trying to say here, when we call our remote enabled function, what SAP do, SAP registered the remote function module name, RFC destination name, and actual parameter list of the parameters, where it registered all these information into these two database tables, right? And these two database tables are available in our calling system, RFC client system, right? Then this is completed, we can say. Okay, with the execution of our call statement, call function so and so, this first point is completed by SAP, right? Next point is what, when the commit work, when the commit work statement is executed. Okay, so what it is saying here, when the commit work statement is executed, the function modules registered for the current LUW logical unit of work are started to be executed in the same order in which they were registered. Okay, So what we have to do, we need to explicitly provide one statement called as what, commit work, okay, so that the function module starts executing, okay. But here in our case we did not provide any commit work statement, okay. So with the commit work statement, it will, we can say, it will execute the remote enabled function modules, okay. Okay, so point here to understand is, in case of this tRFC, our remote enabled function module will not be executed with this call function statement, okay. Our remote enabled function module will be executed with what, with commit work statement, okay. This call function statement, uh, it is what, when it executes, what SAP do, SAP register a request which is holding the information of our remote enabled function module, right, and this what, RFC destination and list of the parameters into these two database tables. These are the two database tables, right. When this statement, commit work statement, will be executed, at that point of time function module will start executing, okay. So what we have to do, we need to what, include the commit work statement, right. So here hmm, commit work, okay. So here we are what, we are specifying this commit work statement, okay. Save it, check for error again, yes, no error, activate this, activated, okay. So what this commit work statement do, after this commit work statement, what it will do, if the so and so is not available, okay, this point we will discuss, right. Now let's execute it, okay. Give the values, let's say 1034, let's say it as what, something Madhu Kumar, and let's make it as what, developer here, okay. 1034 Madhu Kumar and developer, okay. Let's execute it once again. Yes, it might be executed. Now let's cross verify our table here, okay. Let's execute it. Earlier there was six entries, right, good. So here we can say total how many entries we are having now, total 7 entries, okay. So one entry is also inserted here, okay. Let's execute it. Yes, so here we can say what is the record that is inserted here. It is 1034 Madhu Kumar and developer. Okay, so with the execution of this commit work statement, our function module will be executed, right. Right. Next point is what, let's understand next point also. If the remote server is not available when the commit work statement is executed, a standard executable program, this ARFC SC, okay. So this is the function, this is the, we can say, what a standard executable program, it will be scheduled in background by SAP itself, okay. And the next is what, by default this program will try to execute, the remote enabled function module in RFC server is nothing but remote server, we can say, okay. Remote server, after what, after every 15 minutes, up to 30 times, okay. So what it is doing here, what it is saying here, when this statement will execute, when this commit work statement will execute in our this RFC client program, if at that point of time, if our remote server is not available, what SAP will do, SAP will schedule one, we can say, standard report program, that is RSARFC. Okay, this standard report program will be scheduled by SAP itself in the background, right. And what this report program will do, it will try to execute the remote enabled function module in our remote server after every 15 minutes, and up to 30 times, right. And then after these 30 attempts, what it will do, if remote server is not found, even after 30 attempts, even after 30 attempts, then this program RSARFC SC, it will be destroyed, and we need to send a fresh request. We need to send a fresh request there. Okay, so here these 3 points we cannot demonstrate here. Okay, because we are using one this remote server, right? And the we can say the we are not able to down it, we are not able to shut down it, we can say. Okay, so that's why we are not able to demonstrate this we can say this condition where remote server is not available. But this is the process which SAP will follow internally in the background. Okay, remote server, if it is not available, it will be what a standard executable program RSARFC will be scheduled in the background, and after it will try to execute after every 15 minutes and up to 30 times, right? Yes. And if it is not available, if still remote server is not found after even these 30 attempts, it will be what this program, this standard report program will be destroyed, and again we have to call the our we have to send our fresh request, we can say. We have to execute our RFC client program once again. Okay, okay, so this is all about our trfc. Okay, so in case of the trfc, we can say remote server, if it is not mandatory that remote server should be available. Okay, if it is not available, we can what the request will be in the queue, okay, and whenever remote server will be available, it will what it will execute the remote enabled function module, right? And when we should go for this trfc, of course, when we are not sure that a remote server is available or not. Okay, right? So that's all about this trfc. uh, we'll meet in our next session soon. Bye, take care.